Hi, friends. Kelly Harrell here. Today, I wanted to talk about scheduling. There is a time for everything. And even when you are at home homeschooling, there is a time for everything. So, scheduling is important. If your kids came straight from public school, then they are probably used to a very strict wake up schedule. You have to be up and eat breakfast and be out the door by such and such time. So if you want to hold to that right now, go for it. But here's the thing. If you don't intend on homeschooling after this could be like the one time of their life that they could sleep in. And if you have teenagers, you know they kind of need to sleep in. It's like this super weird thing. Kids sleep a lot more when they're teenagers, and there are studies to show that they just need more sleep. So I encourage you as much as you can to maybe be a little loose in that area because, how nice is it on a Saturday if you're not doing sports or a Sunday when you guys can just get up, and take your time. And that is honestly, that has been one of my favorite things about homeschooling is that we get to ease into our day. Um, If you are a Christian, you might also want to use this time to encourage your kids to do a daily devotion first. I know how hard that is when you have to run out the door, but I know a lot of homeschool families that make a schedule for their kids, and schedules are good, especially if they're in a form of like a checkoff list. And that way the kids can feel accomplished. They can just check off one thing at a time. You don't even have to put times next to it if you want it to be, a little looser. But you could just do it in order of what they have to do. Does your kid need to get up and take a shower right away in the morning? No. This is my second video. If you watched the first one yesterday on classroom management, you might have noticed I had a hat on. I do that when I don't shower. Like there are just some days, right, that you might not get to it, especially in homeschool. So, um, my rule of thumb with the kids was they always had to shower before lunch. That was like just what I did, which is totally fine. So let them get up in the morning, let them ease into their day. Um, it doesn't have to be so structured that, they're sitting at a desk at their room doing their work. My daughter has always done her school either in her bed in the early morning. She would always prefer to read in her bed, or she's done it at the kitchen table. My son has always done it at the couch. I don't know why. I'm sure it's super bad for his posture, but you know what? That's where he wanted to be, and that's where he would get it done. Um, so know that there's so much flexibility in that. And right now, with things that are kind of crazy, especially if, like, I don't know how much work your schools have given you, or maybe right now you're just like off until April 30th and you've been given no directions and nothing to work on. And maybe you're just trying to find things to keep your kid busy. Okay, so let's talk about what's most important. The academics that are most important right now. Three of them: reading, writing, and math. Those are the three subjects that are most important. And I encourage you, if you want your child to continue to make progress, I encourage you to do between 30 and 60 minutes a day in reading, about 30 minutes a day in writing, and about 45 to 60 minutes a day in math. Okay? When I was in the classroom, when I saw kids who were behind in reading, one of the questions I always asked the parent was, are you reading? Are you having your student read 20 minutes every single night? Okay. Every single parent whose kid was struggling in reading, when I asked them that, said, no, I'm not. Should I? And I'd say, absolutely. Um, so, and that was something I always said at back to school night too. And maybe your teacher has told you that and you're like, yeah, whatever. It's important. It's really important. So I would encourage you to cultivate that daily reading habit. Um, If your school has not given you anything, any resources, you're more than welcome to reach out to me and let me know your kid's grade level. I can shoot you some ideas of different books to read. But you can also just ask them what books they want to read and try to get those for them. Kindle Unlimited is, some of you might not know, you can actually put a Kindle app on your phone. And so you can get books on Kindle Unlimited through Amazon, and they're delivered directly to your phone, and your kid can start reading. That's a great way during these times when shipping's taking forever and you can't go to the stores. That's a great way to get reading materials for your kid. There are also a lot of online programs. So remember that it's really important to be doing reading, writing, and math every day. Well, what do I do with writing? Well, have them keep a journal right now. You can Google journal topics and come up with a list of journal topics. Ask them to write about their favorite things. Allow them to make up their own story if they're a storyteller. I'm also a writer, and as a kid, like when a teacher said it was creative writing time and I got to write about whatever I wanted, oh my gosh, that was the best part of my entire day. So cultivate that every single day. And then the other thing also is math. Um, I'm sorry if Common Core is frustrating you. I totally get it. But just make sure that they're making some progress in math, even if it's doing, math games on the computer, watching videos on Khan Academy, um, doing different worksheets, like whatever it is, just have them continue to do that every day. So, how do you schedule those academics into your day? Well, that's the nice thing. Right now, it's kind of up to you. So, what I would do is I would definitely have some sort of wake up time. Um, like my kids, I generally tell them they have to be up before 9 o'clock. That was kind of the thing. Most My two kids were actually early risers, which was totally fine. And so I would make sure they knew what they had to do in the morning, um, in order to get their free time, so they could get started right away. So maybe make a list. Ask them if they want to put times on there or not. The things to remember, um like, are they morning people? Are they super awake in the morning and ready to go? Well, if so, maybe math is a good thing for them to do right away. My kids never wanted to do math first because they felt like that took too much brain power. They would rather ease into the day with reading and then do writing. And honestly, most of the time, math was last. Now, here's another tip though. Do not save the most frustrating subject for the very last subject. If you do, you will be pulling out your hair. By the end of the day, you'll say, forget it. You'll be throwing it out the window. And unfortunately, that doesn't help your student make progress. So, really be mindful of the things they need to do. Think about what the most frustrating thing is. Um, Math was usually what I required for them to do either right before lunch or right after lunch, depending on like how the rest of their work lined up. Um, and make sure to schedule some outside time or some kind of physical activity in there too. Um, there are different websites right now and different apps that you can get for free for 60 days that include exercise, because exercise is really good for the brain too. So that's something to do. So you might be saying, well, Kelly, what about like history and science? And we didn't get anything for those subjects. The cool thing about homeschooling is you can be teaching your kid all day long and they don't even realize it. So you can be watching different programs on TV or educational cartoons. My kids love the Magic School Bus when they were younger, and that's science. There are also some history videos that they would watch. There's also a lot of historical fiction books out there. Um, Magic Treehouse is an example of a series that is all either history or science based. So you can kind of tie it all in. And then you can have your kid do, uh, uh, research on different websites about the topics they're reading about. Um, there's also a lot of really, really neat um, websites out there, even like the San Diego Zoo. They have resources and website for kids where they can go on and learn. And again, you can find these by Googling free educational websites. There are a lot of businesses right now who are offering different educational stuff for your kids. Um, and that can be something, Brain Pop. Oh my gosh. Like so many of my families love Brain Pop. Check it out. A lot of really cool stuff there. I don't know how much that's free. Our school pays for a subscription, but um, honestly, like if it's less than $10 a month, if you can do it, it would be worth it because it's so awesome. There's so many great videos on there, not just history and science, but there's also math videos on there, English videos, and then also music and stuff like that, health. Um, so, the important thing to remember about scheduling in homeschool, now this might seem really loose, but you want a start time and you want an end time. Okay. You don't want to say you're working until all your work is done. Gosh, we did that with my daughter, and I don't even know what the issue was, but there were some nights, I'm not kidding you, you guys, we were doing school until 6 p.m. It was exhausting. And so we really had to look at her and what she did when her best work time was, and we had to schedule things around that. That's when we found out she was pushing math out until the very end of the day, and that was just not okay. Because the math curriculum we used, we actually had to teach her face to face. It wasn't just doing worksheets. So then we had to push that up and say, okay, math will happen by 11 a.m. That's just the way it has to be. Um, so have a start time, have an end time, of course, and encourage them if you get through this list sooner, then you will get to have free time. When my kids were younger, I had what were called tickets to freedom. And I basically had all of the subjects on a paper, and then I just wrote in what they had to do for those activities. And then as they finished each one, they checked it off. When the entire thing was checked off, they would bring us their ticket to freedom with their work, and we would make sure that they were done and they would be released from school. When I started doing that with my daughter, things started working a lot better. Um, the other thing I was going to say, make sure to feed them. I know you're not going to starve them, but you might have them shut down more and you might have more temper tantrums if they're hungry. And so my daughter never had a weight problem. She just has a super high metabolism. So we actually had to tell her whenever you feel hungry, you need to go eat. And she also makes healthy choices for snacks. So we didn't have to worry about that. Um, but really, if we didn't, then all of a sudden her productivity would slow, her mood would increase. It was a nightmare. So keep that in mind with your schedule. Okay. And really seriously, right now, if your school didn't send you any work home, what's most important is that you're doing reading every day, math every day, and writing every day. Um, I know some people kind of leave off the writing at times. Don't do that. Please make sure your kid is writing every single day. It will be so much better for you and them in the long run. Um, but you've got this. And it doesn't have to look like regular school. Remember that. It doesn't have to be from 8 to 2 every day. You know what? If your kid gets done with their work in 3 hours, so be it. Until my son was in seventh grade, I kid you not, he was done before lunch with his school every single day. Of course, he also woke up super early and he was starting with school by 7 o'clock. But like there were some mornings that he was done with school by 11 o'clock, and that was okay. Um, so figure out what works best for your family. Okay? It's totally fine to let the kids sleep in. Just make sure that they do have a time that they are required to get up in the morning. Um, and talk to them about what their preference is to do first, next, and whatever. Make yourself a schedule. Doesn't have to have times on it. It just has to be something that works for both of you, all of you. We're all in this together. If you have any questions or if you want to, need more resources or whatever, you can head to my website, kellyharrell.com, or you can email me at kelly@kellyharrell.com. Stay safe, stay well, keep schooling. You got this.